Welcome. Can you hear me now? All right. Welcome to the San Antonio Film Association Candidate Forum for Bexar County Commissioner Precinct 3. So this is an important day. It's an important day because a week from today, actually less than a week from today, candidate filings will close. And we will have all our candidates in place, and the opportunity to learn about them sooner than later is upon us. And we chose to do this today so that we wouldn't conflict with other Advent and Christmas holiday events that will really take off next week. And so we appreciate you coming out and joining us for this important voter education. And so on behalf of the San Antonio Film Association, I want to welcome you. My name is Patrick Von Dolan. I also want to thank St. Mark Evangelist Catholic Church Parish for welcoming us and allowing us to utilize this facility. And just so you know, the facility is for rent. It's called the Event Center. This is formerly Northside Church of Christ, and St. Mark the Evangelist Catholic Church Parish purchased this property a couple years ago, and the Northside Church of Christ moved up north on 281 and outside of 1604. And so we're glad to have the facility. We're glad you're here tonight. Happy Advent, and we hope you had a happy Thanksgiving and are well on your way to preparing for Christmas. So if you would, thank you. I also want to thank Channel 4 WOAI, and KABB Fox 29 for live streaming this event. It is through their generosity that's made possible that no matter where you are tonight, you can watch this live. And that address to watch it at, let me find it here, and I'll tell you. Is it Fox 29 San Antonio?
News4sa.com and
One more time.
News4sa.com, foxsanantonio.com.
Thank you very much. foxsanantonio.com and news4sa.com. You can watch it live streaming there. And so thank you very much, WAI, and thank you very much, Fox 29 KABB. So I would like to begin, as we do all of our events, begin with a prayer. And so you are handed out a prayer. You're welcome to read along or verbally join us. And as we ask for guidance as we go through this time, I want to read to you real quick something about family, society, and civil authority and why this is so crucial to San Antonio and Bexar County. The importance of the family for the life and well-being of society entails a particular responsibility for society to support and strengthen marriage and the family. Civil authority should consider it a grave duty to acknowledge the true nature of marriage and the family, to protect and foster them, to safeguard public morality, and promote domestic prosperity. So with that, please join with me as we pray to start this meeting, asking for the intercession of the one triune God to pour his grace upon us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. We stand before you, Holy Spirit, conscious of our sinfulness, but aware that we gather in your name. Come to us, remain with us, and enlighten our hearts. Give us light and strength to know your will, to make it our own, and to live it in our lives. Guide us by your wisdom, support us by your power. For you are God, sharing the glory of Father and Son. You desire justice for all. Enable us to uphold the rights of others. Do not allow us to be misled by ignorance or corrupted by fear or favor. Unite us to yourself in the bond of love, and keep us faithful to all that is true. As we gather in your name, may we temper justice with love, so that all our decisions may be pleasing to you and earn the reward promised to good and faithful servants. We ask this of you who live and reign with the Father and the Son, one God, forever and ever. Amen. And if you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, at the bottom of the page of your prayer there, you'll find the Texas Pledge as well. And so the American flag is just on my left shoulder, and then the Texas flag will be on the table in the center, a small flag, but nonetheless an icon for us to pledge our allegiance to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would turn to the Texas flag, and again on the body of your prayer paper there, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, to Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Patrick Von Dolan, and on behalf of the San Antonio Family Association, I want to welcome you to this Bexar County Commissioners Court Precinct 3 Candidate Forum. We are 6 days from the end of filing deadline, and we have 10 candidates that have filed a campaign treasury report, and that is the basis by which we used to invite candidates to come and join us tonight. And based on that, out of the 10 candidates, 6 of them have confirmed and are here tonight. I want to thank you all very much for being here and for joining us. Please. Thank you. And we'll introduce them in just a minute. And I want to start with some introducing our panelists. So the way we have it tonight is we have 4 great esteemed panelists here, and they will be asking questions in order, just going down the line, and then come right back, and they will take turns in asking questions. Some of the questions tonight will be 2-minute questions, and others will be rapid fire, 1-minute questions. And so based on that, I want to welcome and introduce Ms. Dina Abiasi. Dina Sutherland Abiasi. Dina is a mother of 3 adult and college-age children, and just married her daughter off, and wife of John Abiasi. The Abiasis moved to San Antonio in 2002 after 13 years in the Boston area. Her childhood home is Corpus Christi, Texas. She graduated from the University of Texas in Austin in 1984 with a bachelor's in journalism and a bachelor's of science in speech communications in 1990. She and her family moved to San Antonio in 2002. Dina is the current chairman of the Respect Life Ministry at the Holy Trinity Catholic Church Parish, vice president of the Alamo City Republican Women, current district director of TFRW, and the past secretary of the Bexar County Republican Party. Thank you, Dina, for being here. Emily Baucom, is it pronounced that correctly? Very good. Emily Baucom is an Emmy Award-winning journalist who joined News 4 in March 2012. She was born and raised in San Antonio. You'll find her reporting on the biggest stories impacting our area, from the immigration crisis on the border to the Spurs championship run in Miami. She graduated high school from the Keystone School in the historic Monte Vista neighborhood. Emily then attended Northwestern University, where she earned a Bachelor of Science in Journalism from the Medill School of Journalism with a second major in Political Science. Welcome, Emily. Mr. Michael Kanufke, born in Denver, Colorado, and raised in El Paso, Texas. Michael Kanufke attended Austin High School and the University of Texas at El Paso, and eventually Texas Tech University. After a stint as an entrepreneur in the restaurant business, he entered the financial services business at the advice of his father with a well-known El Paso firm. In 1993, his family moved to San Antonio. In 2006, he co-founded the Von Dolan Kanufke Financial Group. Yes, he is my business partner. Where he continues as a registered financial advisor, helping busy, successful physicians and business owners accomplish their financial dreams. Mike is also co-founder of the San Antonio Family Association, where he continues to work hard to protect, defend, and promote the family, the most basic unit of society, right here in San Antonio, Texas. Welcome, Mike. Mr. Darian Trotter, welcome. Darian Trotter is an experienced award-winning journalist for Fox 29. He enjoys the craft of storytelling and prefers covering issues and untold stories that make a difference in the lives of viewers. Before moving to San Antonio, he spent four and a half years as an evening general assignment news reporter for WGNO in New Orleans. Darian's experience in news includes reporting in Chicago, Detroit, and his native Nashville. He moved to San Antonio in January 2015. Welcome, Darian. Also want to introduce our timekeeper, Mr. Danny Petrie, co-founder of the San Antonio Family Association, and 15 seconds left of your time on your answer, just so if you can take a look. So thank you, Danny, for being here. All right. I want to also thank, if all of our volunteers could stand and be recognized while we start, Dina and Anna, and if y'all would raise your hand, and thank you all for being here, and I think she's in the back, she can't hear me, but thank you all to our volunteers. As I said before, this is a crucial time for an opportunity to learn about candidates before the busyness. Although we've already had Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and today Giving Tuesday. And I would ask you to remember the San Antonio Family Association as we go through and have this event, and for your prayerful consideration and support as well. So thank you very much for being here. I want to also recognize, before we get started with the candidates, we're privileged to have some current elected officials and past elected officials here. And I'd like to start with, where's the general? Okay, I'll save the best for last. Ken Mercer, State Board of Education. Thank you, Ken. Commissioner District 9. Patty, welcome. Joseph Appel. For you, Joseph. For you, Joe. See in the back. Welcome to Joe. Charlotte Williamson Eisenhower. She's running for the Republican Party, Bexar County Chairman. Where is she? She's in the back as well. And then Carlos Ramon. Is he inside? He's running for State Rep, District 3. And Steve Allison. Representative Steve Allison is here. Welcome, Steve. And John Austin. John Austin running for Bexar County Republican Chairman as well. Welcome. Carlos, I think we just called you. Carlos Ramon. You're running for State Rep, right?
Yeah, Carlos Antonio Raymond, Texas State Representative, District 117.
Yes, welcome. You know, I told you I was going to save the best for last, as Major General and former State Senator General Glenn Kothman. Okay, well, I'd like to introduce real quick the candidates, and from right to, going from left to right, as you're looking at them, is Celeste Brown, is already introduced, Weston Martinez, Alfonso Perez, Ellen Pfeiffer, Kenny Valespin, and Jeannie Wright. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the panelists and begin asking, if you would, panelists, to make sure that you announce if it's a 2-minute answer or a rapid-fire 1-minute answer, and we'll begin. Who's beginning? Dina, please start us off.
Welcome, candidates. This is an extended answer. What makes you the right person for Bexar County Commissioner? And we'll start with Celeste.
Thank you. Is this on?
Stand up.
Okay. All right. Are we standing or sitting?
Whatever you like to do.
Okay. I feel I'm the best candidate because I have a lot of experience with the commissioners. Being a former county court judge, the commissioners are in charge of the county courts, and so we had to deal with the commissioners a lot during my term. I know the commissioners. I know that obviously there are 4 Democratic commissioners, and we would be the only Republican party there. I know that I would be brought to the table for them to have an open mind with me because I know them. I know that I don't agree with everything that they do, and they won't agree with everything I want. However, I am willing to reach across and talk to them, and I have done so in the past. So they know who I am, they know what I'm about, they know that I'm not going to play, and I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to dig in when I need to dig in. But they also know that they can talk to me, and they will bring my thoughts to the table. And I think that's really important because not one person up here, not one of us can do the job. It is a collective decision there in the Commissioner's Court. You have to have 2 or 3 people that are going to agree to get something passed. So I cannot do it on my own. In fact, if I'm so staunch over here and I don't want to reach across to work with them, they don't need my opinion. They don't even need to bring me to the table. So the Republicans wouldn't even be represented in some of their hearings or in their forums because they really don't need us. So I think it's really important to get someone in there that can work with them, that they know, that they can bring to the table, so that our opinions and our issues are brought and talked about openly. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'm Weston Martinez, and I'm very thankful to be here today and look forward to running to be your next county commissioner for Bexar County Commissioner Precinct 3. You know, I've served as a statewide commissioner appointed by Governor Perry, where I was for almost 7 years. Most of that time under Governor Perry, now Secretary Perry, the other part of the time under Governor Greg Abbott. So I have the experience to do the job on day one. I know what it is to be a commissioner and what it is to get things done and to work with a body of people, work with legislative directive and to carry out those directives, and also make sure that we do things like balance a budget and save revenue. That's right, as a statewide commissioner, I actually help to lead the way as budget chairman on us decreasing our fees to all of the ratepayers across the state of Texas. I led in us actually starting our own fund to have our own building. We saved up about $12 million in the process and knew how to work with people in order to put people over politics. You know, I started the recall against Julian Castro when he was taking an assault against Christian businesses. I worked against some of the tax boondoggles in Bexar County, like the light rail project and the streetcar. And when Chief McManus was releasing illegal aliens on the south side of San Antonio, I filed a successful complaint with the Attorney General of Texas because he broke the law, and that wound up causing him to be sued by the Texas Attorney General. As we move forward in County Commissioner's Court, I know that these commissioners have raised our taxes, they don't care about Republicans, and they want to do things like hold court inside a Commissioner's Court saying that Republicans are racist, that we shouldn't have the RNC convention here in Bexar County, and God forbid, if Republicans were eating down on the Riverwalk, that they would be poisoned by those people that are making it. I promise you that as county commissioner, I will make sure that every Republican voice is heard, and I will make sure that we are putting people over politics in everything that we do. I'm Weston Martinez. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Hi, my name is Alfonso Perez, and I'm a small business owner here in San Antonio, and I've worked here in the surrounding area of Bexar County and Comal County. I'm pretty familiar with how to balance the budget, create jobs, demands of meeting payroll, and that's what I intend to do. I want to help our community. As a community leader, I've helped my small community of Castle Hills before, so I want to keep proceeding at a bigger scale. I understand that there's a lot of demands that need to be met, and I met with the workers of the county, and the small individuals that work at the Sheriff's Department, the courts, the clerks, so I'm very familiar with them. I don't want to create a divide, I want to bring unity to the community. Thank you.
Yes.
I am so happy to be a candidate for Precinct 3 County Commissioner. I want to thank San Antonio Family Association for having the foresight to realize the importance of this election and having us here early on in the forums to come. I have had a hobby the last 3 years researching the Commissioner's Court, and what I found was the reason I'm running is because I found that there is a sad lack of transparency and accountability from the county to us, especially the citizens in Precinct 3. The legacy projects, the San Pedro Creek project was a $13 million flood control project funded by our most recent bond money. The creek has not flooded since 1931. Well, now the project has ballooned into a $300 million cultural park along a 2-mile stretch of San Pedro Creek that is inaccessible by pedestrian traffic. The tax abatement incentives, I know I only have 2 minutes, but I've also been looking at them, and they are not properly vetted. So as your commissioner, I will be attending as many of your meetings as I can, seeking your input, hosting quarterly town hall meetings, publishing a monthly newsletter so that you can keep in the loop, and I will be constantly seeking your input, and we will put a stop to these unnecessary, mostly unnecessary legacy projects, and make sure that the tax abatement incentives go to eligible recipients. And I thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to your support.
How you guys doing? My name is Kenny Valespin. Hope you're having a blessed day today. The reason why I'm running for county commissioner is not because I woke up one day and decided, hey, look, I want to do budgets. Or, hey, I want to make sure that we have proper oversight over our county offices, or I want to appoint people. The job that I do today as a professional at one of the top financial institutions in San Antonio and in Austin mirror almost exactly the job that I will be doing tomorrow as county commissioner. Today, my job is to oversee a budget for San Antonio and Austin financial institution, the Bank of San Antonio and the Bank of Austin. The second thing that I do is I oversee each and every single department in there, and I make sure that they have the right budget, they have the right staff, they're able to produce the right mission essential things that they need to continue to add value to the organizations. And I am the only recruiter in the Bank of San Antonio and the Bank of Austin. I have hired each and every single person. And so when I do a job interview, one of the first things I do is I look at the qualifications. And when I looked at the qualifications of a county commissioner, the first thing I did was I looked at my own self. And I looked at each and every single aspect of it, and I say, man, I have done that, and I've done it efficiently, and I've done it effectively. I also am part of a lot of different business organizations, and one of the things that I specialize in is helping businesses grow their business. Also, another thing that I travel around the United States doing is I travel around teaching leaders to be leaders and managers to be leaders. My name is Kenny Valespin, and I'm running for county commissioner, and I want to be your voice in our county offices.
I hate to stand here and talk because you can see my knees knocking. My name is Jeannie Wright, and I am running for the County Commissioner's Court, Precinct 3. Many of you may know me as the judge of Bexar County Court Number 7, which was our domestic violence court, which I always said was the most important court because it dealt with families. Now, why am I qualified for this post? Aside from the fact that I am a lifelong Republican, I am not running for this position as a Republican, just to run as a Republican. I am a Republican. I am the conservative candidate. I believe in fiscal responsibility. I was the administrative judge of the county courts. I dealt with the budget. I carried legislation to Austin. I dealt with the commissioners. We have problems with the jail. We have problems with bonds. We have problems in this county. And please explain to me why with 1.9 million people and a budget of almost $1.8 billion, we are not getting done what needs to be done. We need transparency. we need oversight, and we need a Republican, a strong Republican on that commission. And we need somebody that's going to stand up and tell people what's really going on. My name is Jeannie Wright. I'm running for Precinct 3. Thank you.
The next question will be a rapid fire question. That means you have 1 minute or less to answer. The members of Commissioner Court have stated that they've reduced taxes in the county. Do you agree? Why or why not? The same order as before. We'll be doing that the whole night. All right. I absolutely do not agree with that. Is it on? I do not agree with that. That is a shield that they talk about. They take pride, meaning the commissioners take pride in saying, we do not increase your taxes. Well, no, they don't increase the tax percent rate, but what they do is they increase our appraisals. And it's hitting home to my family because my mother, who's here, is in real estate. And so I hear about taxes, I've heard about them all last month. So it is hitting hard with my family, it's hitting hard with a lot of families, and they're taxing us, not the percentage rate tax, but they are appraising us out of our homes. They're appraising people out of homes on the east side, and where I live, people are selling their homes because of taxes, so I don't agree with that statement at all.
Here's the smoke and mirrors, ladies and gentlemen. This legislature has a rule that says if the tax rate goes up this much, then you have to put it to an election. So these people have been shaving the top off of the taxes, so you, the people, didn't have to vote. So they'll tell you that we've had a tax cut for 25 to 30 years, and it's all the way down here, about 29 to 30 cents. But what they don't tell you is that they're issuing all these bonds in the meantime, hundreds of millions of dollars of certificate of obligation bonds to do things that should be in the budget. And then they come back over here and they tell you that they somehow save money. I've got 5 children. Can you imagine giving your child $10 to go to Whataburger and they say, hey Dad, I need $5 more because I saved $3? It just doesn't work that way. It's not common sense economics. And when we look at what they're having with a $1.7 billion budget, they are wasting so much money. They don't care about our taxes. They want to tax you out of our homes. This last appraisal district, some homes went down in value, but your land rate went up in value. They're lying, and I will fix it, and I will never sign a budget that actually raises taxes. Guarantee you.
Yes, we need more transparency with the tax appraisal system. Our taxes, even though technically they're not going up and the tax rate is going down, we are being appraised out of our homes, and that is a problem that we're having. And we should have a better explanation to our constituents and the people that live here.
Again, going back to accountability and transparency, it is true, they're raising the value of our homes and saying that they're lowering the taxes, but they're not. I agree with everybody on the stage here that they are they're in the shadows with claiming that they're doing anything, that they're accomplishing anything. And again, with hopeful term limits and other methods of accountability going forward, we will get I know we have to go to the state legislature to get term limits, but it's a boondoggle. And they are not at all lowering our property taxes. Thank you.
As a finance guy, I understand taxes, and I know if you lower taxes, you have to raise taxes somewhere else because the county has to get their money somewhere. And so one of the things that I don't want to continue to say the same thing that they did, but I want to give you an example. One of the things I really don't agree with as well is that it's a sleight of hand. I'm gonna keep this way, but I have to raise this because I want to make more money. I want to give you an example of what's happening in my neighborhood today. They raised my property value of my house by almost $7,000, but each and every single house that is sold in my neighborhood has not even sold for what they are valued at. And so therefore what they're doing is they're trying to make more money, but they're not doing it the right way. As county commissioner, you are a steward of the taxpayers' money. That is the taxpayers' money. And what they haven't been is they haven't been a great steward of the money. And that's what I feel like I'll be able to bring to the county commissioner's office. I'll be a great steward of the money and be able to give you the why. Thank you.
I could never understand why I would read in the paper that the tax rate was going down, but the check I wrote got bigger and bigger. That's because they kept appraising my house higher and higher. We pay more money. We can't afford it. We need transparency. Where is the money going? Don't be fooled.
All right, what I'd like to do is actually start the question on this side to give the candidates more time to formulate their responses. So this one is an extended answer. The County Commission has the ability to issue general obligation bonds for projects. Do you believe we need more disclosure on the obligations of the county? Ms. Wright.
I'm not going to stand up because I have to sit, I got to think. That's a very broad question. And it's almost impossible to answer because it's not specific enough. I'm sorry. Yes, every time you float a bond, you need to tell people what you're going to use with the money. And we have played a shell game in this county of floating bonds and then taking the money and taking a portion of it and using it for something else. I'm not sure I'm answering your question because quite frankly, I'm not sure I fully understand it. So would you please tell me again exactly what you're looking for?
You've answered it.
All right, then
That's
let
right.
me pass this down.
You know, one thing that a lot of people use, you say the word bonds and they don't understand what a bond is. And so a bond is something that you're going to pay right here, and then throughout time you're going to end up paying on it, but pay a certain percentage on it. So if you think about it that way, and you think about a bond, I don't know if you're familiar with the leadership circles. It starts with the why, the what, and the how. And you've talked about transparency as to, have I been able to tell the people about this bond? No, I don't think that they are adequately able to explain the reason why they had a bond. Now, I will tell you that if we had this bond, and I as a county commissioner said, this is why we're going to do it, and this is what and how we're going to use that bond, and I actually followed through with my word, I guarantee you that the people will be more susceptible to that. But what's happening here is we're going behind the scenes and we're going behind the people's back and using their money, right, throughout time, the taxpayers' money, to pay for bonds over time. And no, I don't feel like we have been able to tell the people why. And I think that's a very important aspect of what a county commissioner or what just a leader should do. You should always tell your employees or the people underneath you why you're doing something before you tell them how and what to do.
And yes, I also agree that we need more transparency with our bonds. They're presented to the public. They're so confusing that no one really knows what they're voting for. And unfortunately, the municipal government, whether it be the county or the city, has the money to advertise as they see fit as far as explaining what we're voting for, when really there's much more hidden in there that more voters need to do more research on. Thank you.
Yes, we do need more explanation in regards to bonds and any other kind of contracts that that the county commissioners are requesting, and they should be given to the people that are servicing them and also the people that are paying for them. Okay, recently we had a food contract with one of our main departments and it was a hefty contract. The thing is that the county's commissioner's court was not explained. And most people don't understand what an RFQ and RFP is. But the county should explain that to the common taxpayer.
You know, Weston Martinez, County Commissioner candidate. You know, as a former statewide commissioner, I'm accustomed to taking very complex things and just kind of explaining them kind of kitchen table. Let me explain it real simple. When you vote for a bond, you know you voted for it, right? Unless somebody illegally voted. So you know you voted for something. In this case, certificate of obligation bond, instead of the taxpayers saying, we want to take out this amount of money to do X, Y, and Z, instead, whether you're George Strait or George Rodriguez, they use your home as collateral for these certificate of obligation bonds. Nobody raised their hand and said, hey, go ahead and use my home for more debt. Can you imagine the seniors out there that are living paycheck to paycheck and their rent just got raised because these people wanted to steal from them? There has to be more accountability. And in the legislative session, I was working for more transparency, more taxpayer transparency. And you know what? The county commissioners, guess what they were doing? They were fighting against that transparency from the governor and from the Republican legislature. And as county commissioner for Precinct 3, I will make sure that our conservative voice is heard, because at the end of the day, I'm the one they want down there the least, because I am the most conservative and I'm the most qualified. So again, we need to make sure that we're highlighting those issues and bringing more transparency. Thank you very much.
So you're talking about two different issues. There's the bonds, and then there's the certificate of obligation, which Weston kind of made a point to tell you all there's two different things. So for bonds, you have to vote for them. We all vote for the bonds, which are extremely confusing. Okay, but that's what we vote on. And that's like a credit card, right? So you have to, you have to pay it back at some time, and you're gonna have to pay interest on it. That's a bond. Okay, then you have the certificate of obligation, which we don't even get to vote on. We don't get to be a part of it at all, which I'm totally against. It's our money. I think we should know where it's going, why it's going there, and be more transparent. So the certificates of obligation are just like IOUs, basically. And we're gonna end up having to pay those back as well, but we don't get to vote on them. To me, that's not fair to not know where your money's going and all this debt. We have $3.8 billion in debt in the county, and no one talks about it. And I don't understand why no one talks about it. So that's my answer.
Before I ask the question, a little housekeeping, turn the mic on. It takes about 2 minutes to warm up because it's wireless. If you're wondering how come it seems to be going up, that's all that is. They're both getting feedback? Oh, okay. Just turn it on before you speak. Do you favor, we'll start from Jeannie over here. Do you favor citizens having the right for the referendum, recall, and initiatives? Because as many of us know, the threshold is so high, it's very difficult for the citizens. And if you do believe in that, why or why not?
Another complicated question. And you're talking about recall elections?
Let's stick with referendum.
Give me an example.
Well, currently, I can tell you about the city, I don't know about the county, but currently in the city, you need close to 90,000 signatures in a 40-day period of time. In the state of Texas, you need 20,000 signatures, and I think it's 90 days if I'm not mistaken. So clearly the city has set it up where the citizens, it's almost impossible to get 90,000 signatures in 40 days. Clearly they don't believe in a referendum. That's the question.
The citizen, the voter rules. If things are being done improperly, if the will of the electorate is not being followed, then it needs to be addressed. Yes. I believe we should have those referendums.
I apologize, that was an extended question.
Well, that's my abbreviated answer.
Thank you for that question. And I know that this is going to be a county thing, but I'll speak to the city because it almost kind of mirrors each other. Now, when you talk about a referendum and I have to get this many signatures, the problem is that if you, like, let's just talk about spending really quick. If you want to get a snapshot of how the county commissioners court or how the city council is doing, look at the behavior of their spending, right? And so if you look at everything that has been passed when it comes to some of the referendums and how many signatures it's taken to get that, you'll see that the city council is just making their own decisions. That's why they have a lot of back office deals going on. But at the same time, you don't want to make that threshold too small, because all of a sudden now the citizens can just get a whole bunch of signatures and try to overturn everything. So there has to be a balance, but you have to understand the behavior of what's going on. Now for the city, I think that it's way too high, and we need to lower that a little bit so the people can have a voice. And I'm running on the platform of a voice for the people. And so if I'm a voice for the people, what you're basically saying is if this threshold is so high, you're never ever going to have a voice until you all come together as one. And that's a very impossible thing with the threshold that it is today. So I think that it has to come to a really good number, a balanced number, where the people can still have a voice. Because that's the most important thing. When you talk about the commissioner's court and the budget, it's about utilizing the taxpayers' money. And so when you're talking about trying to get something passed, there has to be a balance where the people can have a voice. And I think that, I'm sorry, I can't say that it's too high or too low. I do feel like there's a behavior, but you have to look at, or there is a middle or a balance, but you first have to look at the behavior of what's getting passed and what's not getting passed.
In looking back again, as using the city as an example, that was the charter amendment that barely missed, right?
Yes.
Lowering the signatures to 20,000.
No, it was extending it to 120 days, I believe.
Oh, it was the time frame and not the number. Okay, thank you.
So it doesn't have to be, it doesn't allow, it'll give you the time frame.
Yes. Well, after trying to get 500 signatures to avoid paying my filing fee and working hard to get 140 signatures, I had personal experiences, we all did, with trying to get 500. So yes, I believe that they're unfair, and that again, if you could help me on how many signatures do we have to get? 70,000? Is that what you said? 70?
Patrick has the answer. It's like 10% of the voter registry.
It's 10% of the last registered voter.
Yeah, 10% of the last registered.
Okay.
So that'd be,
Okay.
it's 900 some odd thousand, and so that's 90,000
Yes,
roughly.
yes.
The state of Texas is 20,000, and again, that might be too low in terms of
Yes.
business behavior.
I think, I agree with what your statement, that 90,000 is way too high, and 20,000 is a bit low. So yes, I think that we need to address our referendums and get a more reasonable number. They're unfair. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Do you favor citizens having the right for referendum? Let's just keep it the referendum, and because of the threshold, and that is why or why not?
Well, if it's part of the democratic process and people can meet that standard, then they should have it.
Again, glad y'all are here tonight. I'm Weston Martinez, and I look forward to being your conservative Republican choice for county commissioner. Let me tell you what, I appreciate the extended explanations of the questions, but I already know what the questions, because of the experience, I know what these questions are, and thank you, I don't need any additional explanation. So in this case, whenever we had the recall against Julian Castro, Phil Harburger had actually moved the goalpost from 10% of the last number of people that voted in the election to 10% of the total number of registered voters. So 100,000 registered voters, 10,000 people voted in mayoral elections, so instead of needing 1,000 signatures, now you needed 10,000 signatures. There's 100,000 people in that same thing. Again, as county commissioner, we have to be able to take very complex things and explain them with great simplicity. And it's very simple. The people that have been running this town don't want to do anything except take away your taxes, take away your rights, take away your voice, and take away your vote. So we have to make sure that we're holding them accountable. Yes, the threshold should be lowered, and yes, you know what, City of Houston is still at 10% of the last number of people that voted in the election. You can have a recall election in a city council district in Houston, Texas today for about 2,000 signatures. How many of us would die to get some people recalled in Bexar County, in San Antonio for 2,000 signatures? Exactly, every one of us. So we have to make sure that we are educated on the issues. We've got to be ready to do the job on day one, and we've got to be able to go down there and articulate a message that says we will not let the liberal left continue putting politics over people. We have to put people over politics like Steve Allison did in the legislature. Steve Allison called out some misgivings that happened in the legislature. He stood for the people. And as county commissioner, I'll do the same thing. Thank you very much.
I like going first because then I have to repeat. But I liked my first place. I too, again, like everybody else, I think it needs to be a fair process. I definitely think the citizens need to have a pathway to be heard. I definitely believe that. But I think it's a little too high. I don't know what exactly is perfect, you know? We would have to brainstorm on that, but I think it needs to be fair. I don't think that's fair the way they did, you know, where you needed 1,000 signatures and then you need 100,000 signatures. That's 10,000. Yeah, that's, to me, that's unfair. But it does need to be a check and balance, definitely, and they need to be accountable and they need to be heard. You know, the people need to be heard, and that's the problem right now, is that we aren't being heard. There's a few people, like 2 or 3 people, that have been running the county for over 20 years, and none of us have been heard. And so it needs to change, and we need to be heard. So, thank you.
Celeste, we're going to start with you again. And this is going to be a rapid fire question. In September of 2015, with 3 days notice, the Bexar County Commissioners Court removed Columbus Day and replaced it with Indigenous People Day. How would you have voted on this issue and why?
I would have not agreed with that. Well, number one, I think, would you say within 3 days? Or did they?
3 days notice.
Yeah, 3 days notice. That's unfair, number one, unfair. I don't like that everyone's rewriting history, so I would have fought for Columbus Day. I don't know this Indigenous People Day. I'm not really sure what exactly that means. I don't know if you know what that means, but I don't. I would have definitely been against that. And for anything for 3 days, I think 3 days notice, of course, in law, 3 days you have different timelines, but for something like that, to take away a holiday, I think we needed to give more time to the people and fight hard against, I would have fought against it, definitely.
Let me tell you, that was nothing more than the liberal left trying to creep into Bexar County yet again. George Soros put money into Bexar County last year, and guess what? Michael Bloomberg is doing it next. The elected officials down there were giddy when he was in town the other day. Any assault on our history ought to be labeled a hate crime. I don't care if you're tearing down a monument or you're changing a day, you should honor our American history and you should leave those things alone. It is ridiculous. You know, Donald Trump got 40% of Bexar County, but the way these people try to make you feel, you would think he only got 2%. Let me tell you what, I supported him for election, I'm supporting him for re-election. Governor Greg Abbott, he got over 45% of the vote in Bexar County. So when we have an unrepresentative government, it's un-American. But you know what? Politics are for the people that show up. I'm thankful for all these people that showed up today. We're all working hard to represent you, and we want to make sure that those people down there continue to listen to us even more than they have in the past. Yes, I would have voted against it.
Hi, I grew up celebrating Columbus Day. Growing growing up here in Texas. I mean, you celebrate a lot of Texas history, which is sometimes is not politically correct, but you learn. At the same time, nowadays there's a lot of photos to be politically correct, but Indigenous Day is facts. But I mean, if some people want to celebrate a guy that got lost in the First off.
It was on.
It was on.
I was getting ready.
Oh, okay. So, being politically correct is pretty hard nowadays. But if some people want to celebrate Columbus Day, a guy that got lost in the Atlantic, that's fine. And it's your choice. But, I mean, if you really think about it, it's one of those things where you got to pick and choose your battles. And, I mean, honestly, it's one of those, it's not too much of a big deal, but it's not something you should carry into politics because you got to be fair to everybody.
I absolutely would have voted against that. And it reminds me of our Apple phone now with all the Muslim holidays added to it. It's, we can only work on our county. I mean, we all care about our country, but running for Precinct 3 County Commissioner, I'm trying to really focus on the things I can do to make a difference within our county. And I would have been all over that those 3 days, alerting everyone. The media, I guess, wouldn't have mattered, but I would have been very strongly against that.
I've been a strong conservative my whole life because I believe in the United States of America, I believe in our Constitution, and I believe in our history. If Christopher Columbus didn't come here as a first-generation born immigrant, born citizen to immigrant parents, I probably may not have even been here if it wasn't for Christopher Columbus. But it's because we came here. I want to tell you this: there's no reason why we need to change something in 3 days. I believe in this country. I believe in our Constitution, and I'm so thankful for our history. It has made us the great country that it is today, and I've fought to defend it, and I'll be danged if somebody tries to tarnish that.
Can you hear me? Is this thing working? Yeah. When I was in high school, I had a Latin teacher named Miss Sally Bowman. And Miss Sally said, sometimes you can get so liberal your brains will fall out. Well, we've seen it happen, haven't we? As County Commissioner of Precinct 3, one of the things I want to bring back is not only a rational outlook, a conservative outlook, but a realistic outlook. I want to give people a chance in my district to have their will known. I don't think we should just impose things on people. And by the way, if we're going to talk about Columbus Day, I want to talk about our Confederate soldier. We have a lot of things we need to talk about. Thank you.
We'll stay with the same order, starting with Ms. Wright. I hope you can hear me. I know we're having some microphone problems. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Brown.
Okay, it takes more than one click to turn this on. 2 clicks for the record. I apologize. We're going to start over here. We are going to ask an extended answer, so you have 2 minutes. We can also take less time if you'd like. What are you willing to do to reduce taxes in Bexar County? Please name specific cuts.
Well, first of all, the appraisals. That's what I want to start with first.
Yes.
To lower those appraisals to what they should be, what the houses really should be, and stop the hyperinflation. That's not lowering the tax amount, but it is going to lower our taxes, just like they're doing. They're increasing our taxes. That would lower our taxes. We need to, when I started digging, and there's a lot of digging, as Ellen's talked about, we need to have our contracts, like, our infrastructure. So you have contract, right? And something's going to be $100 million, let's just say. That $100 million contract, it's not an inclusive contract a lot of the times. So they adopt that contract, and then they come back, the contractors come back, because they're usually friends of the commissioners. They come back and then they say, oh, well, you know what, I can't finish this bridge for $100 million. I need an additional $30 million because I didn't foresee all these different problems. Well, if we had someone that would look at these contracts, I'm not a contractor, I grew up in real estate, so I do know a little bit about contracting. But we would need someone to look over these contracts so that they would be all inclusive, so we wouldn't spend so much money. Now, as far as taxes, I don't know exactly what I would do. I'm just trying to say, like, we need to save money in all different areas. There's a lot of different areas. I'm not answering the question exactly, but like special interests, we're spending a lot of money on special interests. That needs to be cut out, our special interests. Legacy projects need to be cut out. There's so many things that need to be cut, and there's so many things that we need to fund properly, like the county jail.
Hi guys, Weston Martinez for those y'all just got here. Let me tell you what, there are millions of dollars in twisted art projects that are being issued by the county. You could cut those, number one. That doesn't do anything to build roads, bridges, or streets. Allocate the money properly, all right? We need to look at doing that, and we need to look at a different way of doing things. We can't trust these people with what they've been doing, which is why as county commissioner, I'm gonna call for a forensic audit on the appraisal district day one. I'm also going to call for an audit on the Bexar County Sheriff's Office for day one. Good Lord, they've released 18 inmates incorrectly so far this year. Is it a hotel or is it a jail? We need to make sure that we are focusing on what we're supposed to be doing. You know, in rural Texas, they call county commissioners road commissioners. You know what? Roads, bridges. Good Lord, the bridges here in Bexar County, the maintenance and operations for flood control, they only allocate a thousandth of a penny for the maintenance operations for flood control. Can you believe that? We've had flooding happening here since the cows were here before the Alamo. These guys are more worried about moving the Alamo than they are about saving taxes out of your dollars. And we need to look at doing things differently. You know, Art Martinez-Devada, the mayor of Von Army, had a system where as sales tax increased, the property tax on the citizens decreased. When we talked earlier about tax cuts going down, but the revenue going up, let me tell you what, if we took a look at something like that for across the county, can you imagine having your property tax bill from the county go down to zero because our economy is flourishing? Instead of running business out of town like O'Reilly's and all these people that have moved to Cibolo and moved to Schertz, we ought to figure out a way to be business friendly to get them to stay here in Bexar County. So we need to take a strong look on what we're going to do. It's a target-rich environment on items that we can cut, and there should be no sacred cows. Pardon the pun.
In regards to the tax rate, we actually have a surplus of revenue this past year. And actually we could roll back that and give it tax savings to our community. The only thing is we also got to do a good study in regards that we're not risking our public safety, our health plans, and also our community awareness in regards to other things that we help our society with. So yes, we could cut taxes, but we would have to do a good study so we won't put anything at risk.
In addition to my aforementioned example, the $300 million San Pedro Creek Cultural Project, that's just the most recent one that we've had. We've had many. Regarding the tax abatements, that is legislatively controlled money that we get, but who we give it to matters, because in return for receiving $10 million of frozen property taxes, you, the corporation or the company, you're supposed to provide a set number of jobs and a living wage. For example, Credit Human, they were already a San Antonio company. The tax abatements are for enticing out-of-town companies or helping small businesses grow. Credit Human was already in San Antonio. They were threatening to move to, I think, Schertz. And because the county, the age of downtown, and the whole financial district thing, Credit Human was given 20 million, 10 million from the city and 10 million from the county in property tax waivers, and they only created 50 new jobs. Toyota, when they came here in 2004, they were awarded 10 million city, 10 million county. Their recent expansion that everybody made such a big deal over, the 391 million, when they applied for that abatement last May, they stated that they were going to add a third vehicle line to the plant, which would have created 300 more jobs at $50,000, something like that. So when they had the grand opening and somebody bothered to say, well, what's your third product line going to be? They said, well, we're not going to do one because the trucks are doing so well. So poorly vetted tax abatement incentives are hurting our property taxes because we're waiving taxes for people that didn't earn them. Thank you.
Thank you. I know the word tax cut is a big buzzword because who doesn't want to save money on taxes? But one of the first things that I would do when I become county commissioner is the first thing I would do is I have a 30-day, a 60-day, and a 90-day plan. In the first 30 days, I want to do an audit on how we're spending our money and how we're appropriating our money. I have the county's budget that I printed out and I saved, and I always look at it. And you know where the biggest opportunity in our budget is the way that everything is appropriated. So I want to look at the county's priorities and how they prioritize various different ways on how they spent. And I want to look for, is there any wasteful spending? One of the big things that Toyota did is they cut out they did lean management and they cut out all the wasteful spending, and they were able to do that without saying, I'm going to cut taxes here and cut taxes there. Also, you also have to look at what is the mission essential budget that we need to continue to provide the road repairs, the right infrastructure, and everything that the county needs. And if we can be able to do that and figure out how we can cut wasteful spending, we might not even need to touch the taxes. But one thing I will continue to say is the property valuation. One of the big things about that is they use an AutoCAD system, and that's why everybody's hands off. They're saying, oh, the system spit that number out. We need to take a look at that system before we just start relying on technology to give us an answer. But to answer your question, there's not too many different taxes that you really can cut and say, I'm going to do this. I have to do an audit first. And today, the first thing that I do whenever it's budget season is I always do a forensic audit, and I look at the risk and the compliance rating to that budget.
All right, first of all, who in here doesn't know my name yet? It's Jeannie Wright.
I apologize for that, ma'am. We were having microphone issues, but I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I'll never get it wrong again.
Or thinking I'm Celeste Brown? She looks great. I'm happy to be confused with Celeste Brown. All right. One of the things I've done is I've gone back and I've read every statute that has to do with the county commissions. And let me tell you the first tax I would cut. Did you know the county commission can charge you a penny for every horse and cow you swim across the river? Did you know that? Let's cut it out. The role of the county commissioner's court, let me get it correct, is very simple. You do 4 things. You take care of the mentally ill. You take care of county buildings. You control the roads and bridges that belong to the county. And you take care of the judiciary. Those are the 4 roles of the county commissioners. How come we have a 600-page budget? Something's wrong. There's too much duplication of service. It's like what Margaret Thatcher said. Socialism's great until you run out of other people's money. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start again with Miss Eugenia Jeannie Wright. This is an extended answer question, so you'll have 2 minutes or less, your choice. Since 2017, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office has had significant increases in DWI and other criminal charges. How would you handle this issue to help the BCSO?
sheriff's office and the jail really get me going. The sheriff of Bexar County is tasked with running the jail, running the sheriff's office, and hiring people, correct? Correct? What kind of belts and suspenders do we have when we hire people? What kind of background checks are going to be done? What are people doing on a daily basis to make sure that these employees, and by the way, it's one of the biggest employers in Bexar County. I think it's over 4,000 people. I've been to the jail. It is the most disorganized place you've ever been. I've dealt with many of the people who work there. There's very little supervision. We need higher standards for people who work in that jail and who work for the sheriff's department. We need, frankly, to make it worthwhile to be a sheriff's deputy. It's a hard job. It's a dangerous job. We need to pay people enough money to attract the best, and we need to pay them for what they do. And I hope that answers your question. I know that for every single sheriff we've had, the big problem's been the jail. It's been the jail every single time. Maybe the sheriff isn't the one that should be in charge. Maybe they need to hire a professional manager for that jail.
You know, if I was to take a look at the job of a sheriff and what a sheriff's been good at his entire life, he's been good at being a sheriff, right? He hasn't been necessarily good at running the books. He hasn't been necessarily good at something. And so one of the first things I would do is I would create an audit inside the jail. Did you know that there's 141 positions open in the jail right now? What are we going to do with those 141 positions? Are we going to fill them? There's a whole bunch of positions that are open for patrol. Are we going to fill those? Because if you're not filling the people that we need to put control, if we're not filling the amount of positions that we have in the jail, what we're doing is we're overworking our people inside the jail. We're overworking our people out on patrol. And if you overwork somebody, they're not going to give you the 110%. And so one of the things that you need to do, first of all, is you need to do an audit and figure out, is there any training that needs to be done? Is there any retraining that needs to be done? And hey, look, are your leaders really leaders? Or what are you doing to train your leaders? Did you know the job of a leader is to fill the cup of its people, right? And the job of the leaders is supposed to have a leader to fill their cup. Is that happening? Are we creating leaders, or are we creating managers that are just going to say, do this and do that? And are we training and are we retraining? If you look at the jail administration, when's the last time they got trained? When's the last time they took a test? When's the last time they did something to show how efficient they are? One of the things that we do is we always do an efficiency and a risk rating. What is the efficiency rating of my department? What is the risk rating of my department? The first thing I would do, and this is what I continue to do in my current position, I first go in there, I do an audit, I look at all the numbers, I figure out what needs to be done, and I create a plan. And as your county commissioner, that's what I would do.
I think that has got to be about the most stressful job that I can think of. Working a normal amount of hours, but being short and having so many of the sheriff's deputies and others, I guess we're talking, I know it's domestic abuse, domestic violence and DWI. And I think they're starting and they need to get enough, they need to hire enough people first, so that no one is working more than, say, I don't know, 10 hours extra, certainly not 80 hours a week. They're tired, they're stressed out, it's a horrific job, what they see and deal with. And also, they need to have mental health counseling, which I believe that they are, that I did read something about that they're gonna bring in mental health counselors. This is where we need to be spending our money on this kind of issue and not on the San Pedro Creek. So I think that it's a horrific job, and that they need to have, they need counseling, and they need free counseling If they want it, they should have it there on site, and they should hire enough people. They've never, it seems like it's an ongoing problem that they don't have enough people, and they're working in those circumstances and exhausted to boot. Thank you.
It's one of the most unappreciated, hard, long hours and unthanked jobs. The Bexar County Sheriff doesn't get most people, when they see a Bexar County Sheriff, they don't understand how you're gonna end up mandatory double shifts, and you're gonna end up working because you have to protect the public from those people that are being accused of crimes. And those people that are accused of crimes sometimes have more rights than the deputies working there. Bad thing is that sometimes that stress does build up, and we do need more counseling for the individuals working there. Of course, they're gonna have sometimes need to escape, sometimes with adrenaline or some other kind of mental breakdown. We do need to help them out. And hopefully we'll make a study, commit to the plan, and then execute it with the help of the sheriff, whoever that might be.
Thankfully, we did not have a wardrobe malfunction. It was a mic malfunction, not that mic. You know, I had over almost 25 years of corporate experience in Southwestern Bell at AT&T, and you know, during my time there, most of it was as an outside plant design engineer because I'm a tinkerer, I'm a fixer, and I just can't let things sit if they need to be fixed. But more importantly than that, I've actually signed the front of a paycheck. And you've got to have people that have signed the front of a paycheck actually looking at these things from a business owner mentality. I'm thankful that some of my peers have decided to join me in saying they would audit the sheriff's department. I've been saying it from day one. Let me tell you why. Because as a business owner, when you have individuals that have over $75,000 in overtime, you got a problem. If you're an employer, you know the number 2030, the number of hours full-time for an employee per year. So if you've got $75,000 in overtime, and right now the jail is 45 jailers under what they're currently supposed to be staffed. But let's not even stop there. The jail wasn't even certified until about 3 weeks ago. Ironically, there's an election coming up. You know, we talked about the hardest job in Bexar County is being a Bexar County Sheriff's Jailer. It's a hard job. We need to pay those people more so we can retain quality individuals and we can make sure that we're staffed properly. But you know what? They also have a work release program down there. And if you've been a judge in this town, you've known about this. The work release program says you committed a crime, you go to work, you report to the jail at night. Guess what happens about 7 o'clock? Hey guys, we're full. If you don't want to spend the night, come on up to the cash register and pay your 60 bucks or 45 bucks. It changes, y'all can ask them later. And then they go home. So what are you talking about? We're not even running the jail properly. It's got about 1,900 employees, $158 million budget, and again, is it a hotel or is it a jail? That's why I'm going to make sure that we hold them accountable, and as former statewide commissioner, I had to do the same thing with other departments. So again, thank you for your time.
Well, this is a great question for me because I was the DWI judge in town and I dealt with the jail all the time. And what really upsets me is everyone blames the sheriff. Well, we've had Susan Parmelo, who's Republican, and now we have Javier Salazar, who is a Democrat. There has been a problem with the jail, no matter Republican or Democrat sheriff. And I dealt with both of them. I had problems getting people in jail, and I had problems getting people out of jail. I blame the commissioners. The commissioners are the ones that are supposed to fund the jail properly. They are the ones to blame, not the sheriff, not the people that work at the jail. It is the commissioners. The commissioners do not fund the jail properly. They are understaffed over there, over 150 people. How are you going to run an operation properly and be understaffed? How are you going to run an operation properly when you are mandatory overtime? These people are working 12 hours a day. Some of them are working more. They're working with numbers all day long, putting in SID numbers and dates of birth and you know, all kinds of jail numbers. They're making mistakes. They're exhausted. They're overworked and underpaid. A lot of these people, even though they're working overtime, they're not getting paid for it. They're getting comp time. So these people have no incentive to be over there to work. People are quitting left and right. I know this firsthand. I've talked to a lot of those people over there. I know them. They're leaving. I don't blame them. But everyone's blaming the jail. Everyone's blaming the sheriff. What about the commissioners? The sheriff asks for an amount of money every year for the budget. And the commissioners every year don't give him nearly what he asks for. Or she, what the sheriff asks for. So for me, I think it's the commissioners. I think and safety is like #1 rule. I have children here that I'm raising in San Antonio. I'm born and raised here. Safety is very important to me. So I think it's the commissioner's fault.
We'll start with Jeannie again. This is rapid fire. Do you consider yourself pro-life? And if so, what does being pro-life mean to you?
Yes, I'm pro-life. And pro-life means to me that we take care of the people that are here. We provide adequate and exemplary prenatal care to all pregnant women. We are a society that is at the pinnacle of the world. Why do we have infant mortality? Why? We need to take better care of people.
I'm pro-life, and I'll always be pro-life. I always take the biblical stance on everything as a pastor as well. That's one of the things that is near and dear to my heart. I believe as soon as inception. I also believe that before the foundations of the earth, I also believe that before you were even born, God already knew you and predestined you and had a plan for you and set you apart to do the very thing that you're supposed to do. So definitely I am pro-life, and I'll always stand up for pro-life, and I will never be for abortion.
I am pro-life, and I believe that life begins at conception.
Wow, if this question comes up in Commissioner's Court, I'll answer it. Well, if this question comes up in Commissioner's Court, when I'm elected, I'll answer it.
It's working.
Say it again.
If this question comes up in Commissioner's Court, I'll answer it.
What will you say?
Well, guys, let me tell you, Weston Martinez, I'm pro-life. Not only that, I'm pro-life, pro-gun, pro-family, pro-Israel, and at the end of the day, I'm pro-Texas. And I'm going to make sure that every one of those people down there at Commissioner's Court know that every one of y'all are as well. Because you know what? For too long, we've allowed our voice to be run over. Whether intentional or not, it's happened. And I'm telling you what, enough is enough. We have to stand up in one voice, and we have to tell them that we are no longer going to be afraid to wear our caps in public. We're not going to be afraid of putting stickers on our car because we're afraid somebody's going to break out the windshield. No. And you know what? It starts with life. If you're not going to be defending the most defenseless, then what else are you not going to defend? You have to make sure that you're right on that issue. And you know what? I would encourage you to ask these people, do they care about life after they're born, and it's okay if the mom decided to abort them? Or are they really pro-life from the moment we have a heartbeat? And I believe that life begins at conception, but we need to, if we're going to be wrong on that issue, you're going to be wrong on a whole bunch of others. Again, I'm Weston Martinez.
Rapid fire. Hello? Okay. I'm pro-life, and I believe it begins at...
So we're going to start with you again, and this is going to be an extended answer. We want to know a little bit about your faith journey and your worldview, because we believe that it helps shape your decisions and your decision-making abilities. So if you'll talk a little bit about your faith background and why that would affect your decisions.
Okay, I grew up being a Catholic. My mom has taken us to church, and I take my children to church. They were they're all teenagers, so 1 year after the other, they were all confirmed. So we do go to Catholic church. My kids are in young life, so I mean, I'm a Christian Catholic. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. I have friends of all walks of life, though. I think everyone's entitled to what they believe in, but at the end of the day, I'm a devout Christian person, and I'm trying to instill that into my teenagers right now, so it's something that comes up often at the house.
One of the things that I do is I'm one of the national media team for an RNC, Republican National Committee Auxiliary, and I did a video just recently about faith equals hope, and why the liberal left wants to destroy faith, destroy whatever your faith is, but particularly Christianity. They want to destroy your faith, because if you destroy your faith, then you have no hope. You know, I'm from San Antonio, was raised here in San Antonio. My mom was a single mom for a long time, and went through a wild amount of domestic abuse. And on that note, I called the domestic abuse hotline the other day to see what was going on. They're only open from 8 to 5. That's disgusting. Sorry, back on the question. But you know what? My stepdad came along, they got married, and they worked together on issues. And I got saved. I accepted Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, when I was about 13 years old. And thank you. And again, you know, as we move forward in our journey of faith, you know, it's committed to what our country is founded upon. You've got people trying to erase history. Well, if you have no foundation, erasing that history is pretty easy. But if you know that the founding fathers came here fleeing religious persecution so that they could have a life where we're not taxed out of our homes, or we have a life to be prosperous, then you have something you can stand on. So anyway, so went through, did all that stuff. My wife and I met in high school at John Marshall High School, which is in the district. And we got married after she graduated from Texas A&M. And we have 5 children, 3 boys, 2 girls, no twins, and I'm not Catholic. I'm not Mormon either. Somebody asked me that about 10 times, so God bless them. But, you know, just excited about life, excited about expanding our family, and really thankful for the opportunity to be in a country where we can worship as we want, and we can worship the days we want without religious persecution. And I will make sure that we always fight to protect our religious freedom every single day.
Some people will fight for religious freedom, but they'll tell you what they want you to believe. I usually say, hey, believe in being a good person. How about that? Okay, whatever your decision is, you know, exercise it, but respect other people's rights. Okay? I grew up as a Catholic, as a Christian, and I appreciate all the things that go with it, but being a good person is probably the most important thing. And you know what? One of the things is, everybody says, you gotta believe in something. Yes, you know what? All of us up here believe in ourselves that we can do a better job for our community. And that's what I believe in. That I could do a good job for our community at Commissioner's Court. That's why my name's Alfonso Perez.
And I grew up here and was raised as an Episcopalian, and I remain an Episcopalian to this day. So you some people call that Catholic light. They're very similar. When I go to a wedding or a funeral at a Catholic church, I kind of know the words and the songs. As far as how it affects my worldview, besides being so grateful to live in this great country, I worry and I follow what's going on in all the other countries. Right now, Hong Kong is breaking my heart. Because they're fighting for their freedom, which would include religious freedom. They're praising Trump and the American flag, and so I had a well-founded upbringing in the Episcopal Church, and it has affected my worldview because I appreciate having what I have, and I wish it upon everyone else in every other country. Thank you.
My family and I, we came to the United States. Well, I was born here, but my grandparents came to the United States because they were petitioned by churches to start a church in Hilo, Hawaii. And we started a church in Hilo, Hawaii, and then my parents and and his siblings decided to come throughout the United States on the mainland, which we call here. I was born and raised here in San Antonio, and one of the things that my parents did was they first instilled Christian values into my life. I've been in ministry for the last 12 years, been a young adults pastor the last 9 years. I'm on a speaking team of a church here in San Antonio. And if you look at my Facebook or social media, you'll see that I've led revivals all throughout the world, all throughout Europe and Asia. I started 13 churches overseas, started 2 orphanages, and one thing that I did, I didn't want the churches and the orphanages to be dependent on the people raising money for it. So I started 4 businesses, or helped start 4 businesses that fund the churches and fund the orphanages. So they are debt-free and they are self-sufficient. And so if you want to talk about my journey, I am here. I'm here because of my faith. I'm here because of what I stand for. And I do believe there is a name that is above all names, and his name is Jesus. And I don't necessarily just have to talk it. I live it and I walk it out each and every single day.
That's a really interesting question. What makes it interesting is it's not something we discuss very often in public, is it? I'm a cradle Methodist. I grew up in Georgia. We were taught, as Protestants, that you are responsible for the path you take with God. And I've always taken that seriously. You are responsible for being a moral person. You are responsible for the way you treat other people. You are absolutely obligated to give back to your community. And this is something I think about every day because it was inculcated in me as a child. And because it was important to me as a child, I made sure that my children had the same path. I also believe that my faith is my faith. Your faith is your faith. And it's not my place to tell you what to do, or what church to belong to, or whether you need to be a follower of Christ or not. I know that an integral part of me is Christianity and being a follower of Jesus. But maybe that's not your path. So thank you for letting me talk about my faith. But I'm not going to tell you what your faith needs to be.
Thank you, candidates, very much. And thank you, panelists. We're going to move to a question. We are privileged today to have a gentleman, former Judge Tom Rickoff, who's very familiar with Bexar County business. And if you would go to right here to Mike, right next to Mike Kanufke.
I won't need it.
Okay, and ask your question, please.
Candidates, panelists, we must not ignore the elephant in the room. The person who's going to be in the runoff is not here tonight because she's pro-abortion. She's a lobbyist. She's coming out of the wolf pack in Brandon GOP clothes. She says she identifies as a Republican. She's going to have $200,000 of developers' money that Wolf is arranging for her. And she is going to be in the runoff, and we all know it. This cannot be ignored. The Wolf Pack will own Precinct 3 for another decade. Celeste was right. We're $3.8 billion in debt. That's $15,000 for every child in Precinct 3. That's the debt. You're not going to have to pay it. Many of us are over 65. No one's going to pay it. They're going to have more and more debt. It's going to go up to 10 billion. And the University Hospital is the same. They are the 1 and 2 most indebted institutions in Texas. No one knows this because the Express News, who said Trish is the front runner.
Hey, Tom, would you would you ask the candidates their question?
How are you going to be Trish, who's going to have $200,000 and you're not?
I plan to out her at every chance I get, including when I'm block walking and talking to people door to door.
Nobody did it tonight.
Okay, hold on.
Well,
hold on. So Ellen, we'll start with you and go left, and then we'll come back around. So thank you for the question, Tom. So the question again, just for everybody's benefit, is there's 10 candidates that have currently filed treasurer reports with Bexar County to run. There's 6 Republicans and 4 Democrats. And there are 5 Republicans here tonight and 1 Democrat here tonight. And I want to thank you all for being here again. And but there is a front runner, a presumed front runner that's not here tonight. And so the question is, how will you deal with that presumed front runner, and what will you do? How will you handle that in the runoff as well?
I, Tom, and everyone have incorporated into my platform, which I didn't really get to tonight. But part of my platform is, after talking about the things that I think are important, the legacy projects and so on, I include now, because she's in the race, that I want you all to know and be assured that I have no affiliation with any downtown special interest groups, including our public utilities. What that means to you is that you will get 100% of my time and energy representing you, the residents in Precinct 3. How was that?
I didn't mention her name because I'm not going to give her any marketing or any billboard from me, or not from my mouth. I don't look to the left or right on this race. I run my own race, and I want to let you know that she is not going to work harder than I'm going to work.
All right, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Excuse me. I thought off the stage, don't laugh. Hi, my name is Jeannie Wright. I'm running for County Commissioner of Precinct 3. I'm a Republican. This is the Republican primary. I've been a Republican my entire life. I will continue being a Republican. I'm a conservative. And I've never done business with the county. The county's never put any money in my pocket for my business, and it never will. Hello. Time up? All right. That's what I plan to do. Look, I have no problem with any of these candidates. We're all good candidates.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you.
Time's up?
Yes, time's up.
Shoot, I was just getting started.
You did good, thanks.
Well, as a lone Democrat decided to step it up, I'm going to ask for all your votes since you guys don't think that you can beat her. But, I mean, that would probably be the most logical thing, and upset the system, break the wheel, like some people say. So I would ask for your vote. I'll be doing a lot of block walking. I plan to make it to the primary because I am doing what Jeannie said, block walking, meeting every individual that I can. Hopefully every Democrat comes out and decides to vote and exercise their right and speak up, and hopefully I will exercise their voice at Commissioner's Court. Thank you.
Well, I didn't wake up and decide I was a conservative Republican. I was born that way. And let me tell you something that I told Hillary Clinton: you can't buy this election. So, you might think you could buy this election, but let me tell you what. When we were down at Commissioner's Court, and there was a couple of us there, you were there, Cynthia, you were there, MJ, you were there. I think George might have been there. And Tommy Calvert Jr. was holding a press conference in Commissioner's Court where he said Republicans were racist, where he said that doesn't the president know who makes the food? I wouldn't eat the mole. I went down there to speak on our behalf. It wasn't a political occasion, and it was 50-1, 50-4. And as soon as they got done having their grandstanding time, I went up to the podium, like Jeannie said, respectful, Tommy Calvert Jr., Democrat, I'll be sitting next to him. And I started talking about Republicanism and how Republicans started the party to free the slaves and how Republicans worked to balance the budget and how Trump had the lowest unemployment in the history of America for Black America, for Hispanic America. And guess what they did? They turned the lights off on me while I was speaking. And then guess what they did? They took the microphone out of my hands while I was speaking. As your county commissioner, they won't be able to take the microphone anymore. And I guarantee you, in this runoff, we're going to know that it's going to be between the ultimate outsider and the ultimate insider. And I am the outsider that's going to win this race.
Well, I have a lot of energy, and I go every day and every night. I go to as many events as I can. I can't make them all, but I try. I am on social media. I know this person running very, very well. I've known her for 40 years. We went to middle school and high school together. We live in the same neighborhood, and our kids go to school together. So it's, I am going to do everything I can to tell every Republican that there is a line drawn. You're either with the establishment or against the establishment, and I am against the establishment 100%. So I just need everyone to know that I'm going to work as hard as I can to get there, and my goal right now is to make it to the runoff. And at the runoff, I'm going to work even harder, probably never sleep, and I'm going to knock on as many doors, shake as many hands, and kiss as many babies as I can, and let everyone know that I will work hard for you and that I am not with that establishment. Thank you.
And we'd like next to last question. So as you know, this question will be one, you have 1 minute. And if there's a question you would have liked the panel to have asked you about Bexar County Commissioner Precinct 3, this is the time for you to bring up your own question and answer. And to do that, and the follow-up will be, the last question will be a 3-minute summary of yourself and your position, your platform, going there so you can start thinking about that. But this one again is 1 minute. Was there a question that you would like to have had the panel ask you that didn't get asked that you'd like the people to know?
I always like to go first. Now I don't know. Y'all kind of asked everything on my platform other than the fact that I'm pro-military and that the veterans program that was started by the commissioners is a failing program, which I know that I could help with the veterans because that was not brought up. I'm very pro-military, pro-law enforcement, pro-guns. So I think that we all need to help the military, help the veterans with that program. I know I would do a great job at that because I was a specialty court judge and I had a failing court where we were almost not even funded because we didn't have enough people in the program to justify the funding. And I turned it all around within a year, and we had a waiting list to get in there. And I was doing an amazing job and got an award for the best team in Texas for my DWI team. So I know that I can work and make that veterans program better. And I know no one talked about that.
You know, I wish we would have talked a little bit more about military, a little bit more about mental health. Tonight, I'm going to announce that Colonel Ken Allard is one of my endorsements. He was a professor at West Point University and is going to chair my Veterans Affairs Committee. I also have former State Representative John Garza as one of the endorsements, Republican from Bexar County, and he is going to help me on several different issues and help be a community liaison. And we're going to look at issues, again, like the mental health. again, like the family violence, again, can you believe it's only open 8 to 5? And then on their website, it had a button on there and it said, escape now. So I thought, oh, escape now, like you're in harm's way, we're gonna send somebody to come help you. No, it went to a blank Google document, blank Google search engine page. I emailed the executive director and I said, hey, this is what's going on, could you please fix this? And she emailed me back, oh, we didn't know that was on our website. I'm already doing the job that we need to get done because, again, I'm a fixer. So some of those issues will be more important, additionally important to talk about. Maybe we can have a follow-up forum on those. Thank you.
Yes, I wish you guys did ask about some of the services that the county provides that you are unaware of. Mental health services, the Center for Mental Health is one of those great programs that it doesn't have enough spotlight on it. Also, Military and Veteran Services has actually a pretty good plan. They have good job placement. Their success rate has been very good. If anybody saw Commissioner's Courts recently, they were doing phenomenal work there, and that should be expanded on. We can't leave the vets behind. And also, the other thing is public safety. One of the things is we need to give the adequate resources and staffing to our people that work in law enforcement. So one of the things you could ask me is probably what programs and departments do I want to put a light on? And those will be it.
I think regarding where we're talking about the veterans, I would like to address veteran homelessness. And I know we can spend a lot of money on a lot of stupid things, but I actually was thinking about flying to Kansas City to visit the tiny house village they have for homeless veterans in Kansas City as a model, and if elected, I plan to do that. And then the only other thing is I'm concerned with the disconnect that seems to be going on between the city and the county, lacking communication, almost like they're in competition with one another, especially in recent regards to the dual intake centers that we now have. The city won't use the new county center because it doesn't have enough holding space, something that they could have easily fixed. And again, more waste of our tax dollars. Thank you.
One of the questions that I wish you would have asked too is kind of goes along with what everybody's saying. What other things do you advocate for? I served in the United States Army as a sergeant, therefore I know what an active duty soldier needs. I know what a veteran needs because I am a veteran. My battle buddy that I've met in the field is the post commander for the VFW next to Big Lou's. So veterans and active duty servicemen, I will always advocate for them because it's who I was and it's who I am today. Thank you. Another thing that I always advocate for, and if you follow me on social media, there's a few things that I always advocate for. I always advocate for special needs children. I always, I'm against family violence, domestic abuse, child abuse, and I am really big into human trafficking and seeing an end to that. And I do believe that there is something in the Commissioner's Court that we can't get rid of the human trafficking, and I think that there's something that's going on in the Commissioner's Court.
Thank you. How much time do I get?
1 minute.
First of all, I want to thank you for letting us be here. My name is Jeannie Wright. I'm a fixer. I'm a doer. I'm a worker. And I never forget it's your money, not my money. And I believe we need to put people over legacy projects. And I'm asking for your vote. Jeannie Wright, Precinct 3. Thank you.
Jeannie, hold the mic. And so we're going to have a wrap-up question now. And being that you didn't have really an introductory question on yourself and about your campaign and everything, we're going to give you 3 minutes to wrap up and give a closing remarks if you'd like to take advantage of 3 minutes. And so your closing remarks and any other message you'd like to convey to the community and Bexar County at large.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I have worked with some of you in the past. I am a stranger to some of you. But if at the end of this evening, you haven't gotten an idea of who I am and and what I stand for and what I can and will do, then using my next 2.5 minutes probably isn't going to inform you very much. I have been involved with the Republican Party my entire life. I was the kid that had the I Like Ike button on in Georgia. I was stuffing envelopes for Goldwater. I've been a domestic violence judge. I've been an administrative judge. I've run my own business. And I never forget, it's your money. And I listen to people, and I'm careful. And I think the best way to get to know me is to talk to me. I don't need to lecture you. Y'all are grown-ups. Talk to me. Tell me what you want. And let's see if we can make it work. Thank you.
If you didn't catch the name, my name is Kenny Valespin, and I'm a born and raised native San Antonian. I was born and raised on the east side of San Antonio in a crime-riddled area, and because of a hard-working mother, I moved to Precinct 3 and graduated from James Madison High School. I am an Army veteran. I served active duty, and I followed in my dad's footsteps, who was a Ranger in the Army and also an airborne soldier. Followed in his footsteps, got a rank higher than his, but also I did serve in the United States, or the Texas National Guard under United States Army South, and we took care of South America. So I know what it is to be a soldier. I know what it is to be a veteran. As a professional, as a senior professional of one of the top financial institutions in San Antonio, the job that a county commissioner does, and if you put the job description of a county commissioner and you look at what I do today, I take care of the budget. I have oversight of each and every single department in San Antonio and in Austin, and I appoint each and every single person. I have 3 service promises. My first service promise is that I will continue to be accountable, or have an accountable and transparent budget, and I will make sure that I steward your money, the taxpayers' money, properly. I will make sure that we have enough to sustain our county today and be able to sustain future growth. The second thing is I will have proper oversight over each and every single department. I will make sure that we train leaders. I will make sure that we train and retrain the staff. And number 3, my heart, and I work for a commercial bank, so my heart is small businesses and organizations. I believe that nonprofit organizations do way more than the government will ever do. I don't believe that we need to put these people aside. These are the lifeline and the lifeblood of America. It's the lifeblood of San Antonio. It's the lifeblood of Bexar County, small businesses and nonprofit organizations. I believe that as county commissioner, I could drive us forward, and I believe that we can be the nationwide leader in veteran-owned businesses, in minority-owned businesses, and women-owned businesses. And I also believe we can be the nationwide leader in veteran-owned nonprofits, minority-owned nonprofits, and women-owned nonprofits. My name is Kenny Valespin, and vote Kenny Valespin, a voice for the people.
I'd like to acknowledge and welcome my campaign treasurer, who drove in almost all the way from Bernie, Ashley Ansira. She's here. She came in during the forum. So thank you, Ashley, for coming. I know it was a long hike, and I appreciate it. I have push cards in the back of the room, but I'm a native San Antonian. I graduated from Winston Churchill and St. Mary's University with a bachelor's degree in political science. For the last 20 years, I have worked in senior housing, helping seniors of all income levels find affordable homes that they can age in place, safely age in place. So I have a real passion for the community, which I think you get that. With my degree in political science, I was going to go to law school, didn't do that. Here I am now, ready to serve my community and in this capacity. And as the others have spoken, I will dedicate 100% of my time and energy, which is substantial, to the residents of Precinct 3 who have been pretty much ignored for as long as I can remember. And so I thank y'all for coming out on a cold winter night and wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Some person actually used one of their slogans, get back to the basics. Now, getting back to the basics probably means that we're doing something wrong in Commissioner's Court, but actually, we actually have a UNESCO site, a great Toyota field. We're in the golden area of Barrett County. The thing is, we need to keep moving forward. Take that level, that step to the next level, okay? And that's what I want to do. As I've been lucky enough, I grew up here in San Antonio by Brackenridge High School, attended St. Mary's University, I've been a successful business owner, and I've traveled the world and the United States. I brought back great ideas and that I want to implement, and that's what I want to do. I want to make my community better, and I want to help every resident that lives in the area, unincorporated or small municipality. That's what I want to do. I want to make sure that everybody's taken care of and have a fair voice. I know the Precinct 3 Commissioner's office is right across the highway, and I want to make sure people are able to come and visit and talk at any time they want to. Of course, during business hours. So please, make an effort to vote for me.
Again, I'm Weston Martinez, and again, thank y'all for being here tonight. You know, as we move forward in this campaign season, you know, this is something where, you know, you wouldn't take a preschooler and go put them in the NFL. This is going to be war. This is not Disney World. They do not want us down there. And as a statewide commissioner that was confirmed by the Texas legislature, confirmed by the Senate, I assure you that I'm ready to do the job on day one. And I swore an oath to defend this country and defend the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And I promise you that every single day that I am down there, I will uphold that oath and I will force them to uphold theirs. Because I promise you, the days of them going unchallenged are no more. It's time for them to be afraid. We have to stand up in one voice and we have to hold them accountable. And we have to make sure that we're putting people over politics. We have to make sure that the roads and the bridges are actually getting done. We have to make sure that we're making fiscally responsible decisions. And if you don't know what you're actually working on, then you're not going to do the job you think you're going to do. Again, grew up in the district, graduated from John Marshall High School. I've got one child at Churchill today. I've got 2 children at Bradley, and I've got 2 children that are also at Coker Elementary. So we're all across the district. I'm sacrificing time away from my businesses and my family so that I can protect my family in the future. And if you want your family to be protected, then you need to vote for me, because I promise you, I know how to fight and I know how to win, and I will make sure that the elected officials that we have here in Bexar County will remember that Donald Trump got over 40% of the electorate in Bexar County and Greg Abbott got over 45% of Bexar County. It's time for them to quit ignoring us. So again, I'm Weston Martinez. I'm pro-life, pro-gun, pro-family, pro-Israel. Most importantly, I'm pro-Texas. And I really thank you for your vote, and I thank you for the opportunity to represent you so that we're not stuck in the same traffic 20 years from now and we're not taxed out of our homes. God bless you.
My name is Celeste Brown again, and I feel like I'm the qualified candidate because of all the experience that I've had over at Commissioner's Court, over at the courts. Being a single mom, I have a lot to bring to the table. My platform, we really didn't get to talk about our platforms, but real quickly, you know, Precinct 3 is extremely important because it brings in over 52 or 53% of all the revenue in the whole county. So it's very, very important, this seat. It's growing so quickly. The infrastructure here, if you've ever gone out 10 or 281, you know that you're sitting in traffic. We don't want to do that. It was improper planning. We need to plan proper. We need to get these construction bridges and the roads. We need to have a deadline on those because we've had 10 has been under construction for years, it seems like to me, and 281. So we need to have deadlines. We need to plan properly. We need to bring in businesses and grow our economics, bring in more money for the whole entire county. In 10 years, we're going to have like 1.5 million people coming into the county, into the whole county. So we need to plan for that. And not everyone can live in Precinct 3, you know? So we need to start kind of looking at our whole county and seeing where we can place people. We need to have a budget. We need a person that's going to be a conservative with our budget, because as we've told you now, we're $3.8 billion in the hole. So we need to figure out how we're going to pay for that. Bringing people in and businesses in to the county would help pay for that. There's so many cuts, as a lot of us have mentioned. We can cut our budget in so many ways and have more money to spend on our core services. Our core services such as the mental health. Being a drug court judge, I dealt with Center for Healthcare Services. I dealt with people in trauma. I dealt with the mental health because a lot of my DWI participants had a lot of trauma. They had mental health issues that I had to deal with. That is very, very important, and the programs right now with the commissioners are being cut. And that's part of their core services, which they need to fund. Our county jails, we've talked about, that is just ridiculous over there, and it's because they're not funded properly. You know, we need to bring the seniors in and help the seniors, the military, and I don't think I told you, but I was a military wife for 10 years. My husband was in deployment 2 times, and I had 5 kids. I had his 2 and my 3. So I know about military families. I can help the military families. I can help the military kids. You know, we go through a lot with our loved ones away. So we need to help the seniors. We need to help the military. We need to bring women into the program. There's not been any women in Precinct 3 ever. So we need women's issues to be addressed as well. Thank you. Celeste Brown for County Commissioner, Precinct 3. Thank you so much.
Let's give a round of applause for all the candidates, and thank you very much for showing up. As I mentioned, there are 10 candidates so far filed, campaign treasurer reports, and for the county, filing deadline is Monday, December 9th, and 6 days from now. And we'll find out if there's any other candidates there. As we see, we have 6 courageous candidates here, and 5 of whom are Republican, 1 of whom is Democrat. And being that we're the San Antonio Family Association, we're focused on things that are bigger than each party, and we're focused on what's truly important to the core of our society is the family. So I want to thank you very much for your attention. I also want to recognize we had here at least for some time another elected official I want to recognize is, and everybody was invited, but Bexar County, Republican Party, Bexar County Chairwoman Cynthia Brim, and then also a candidate for Senate, the State Board of Education, Lonnie Pope, and I think they're in the back. Lonnie Pope, right here, raise your hand, Lonnie. Thank you very much for being here. Running for State Board of Education, and that's the position that Ken Mercer, sitting right next to her, is retiring from and not running for re-election, and we want to thank you again, Ken, for your great work on the State Board of Education. Ambassador, all right, very good. Thank you, Celeste. And 2 other people that are running for office is Steve Pennington, running for Bexar County Tax Assessor Collector right here in the back. And then also Michael Belonga, running for County Tax Assessor Collector in the back as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for both being here. I want to thank all the elected officials, past and present, for being here, and for each of you, because it's through your participation, your presence here, that has made this special tonight. I also want to thank our panelists again, and I want to thank Fox News, Fox 21, Fox 29, KABB, and News 4, WII, for without their participation, it would not be as great of an educational opportunity for all the voters. Because one of the most important things we can do as an organization, the San Antonio Family Association, is to help educate voters on what the candidates truly believe at their core, and then also in their policies. And so I want to thank again the candidates for doing that, and also thank Emily Baucom, and who is we introduced earlier, and also Michael Kanufki, and Dina Abiasi, and Darian Trotter. Thank you all, our panelists.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. You're welcome. So Darian Trotter again with Fox 29 San Antonio, and then also Emily Baucom is with News 4 Channel 4 News WAI. If you would, remember and read at the top, we're going to get ready to do our closing prayer and finish everything with a prayer in which we pray for our country. But I want to read to you again something that's crucial to our society, because the family is the core unit of society. It's the original cell of social life. Without the family, there is no future. Without the family, there's no long-term domestic prosperity. The family must be helped and defended by appropriate social measures. And that's why the San Antonio Family Association is involved and interested in educating in the public square for the protection, defending, and promoting of the family, the building block of society. So I want to read to you one more time. The importance of the family for the life and well-being of society entails a particular responsibility for society to support and strengthen marriage and the family. Civil authority, each of these people are running for a civil position, civil authority should consider it a grave duty to acknowledge the true nature of marriage and the family, to protect and foster them, to safeguard public morality, and promote domestic prosperity. So if you would, join with me in praying for our country. At the bottom of your sheets that were handed out earlier, and you can read along or verbally join in. God our Father, giver of life, we entrust the United States of America, the state of Texas, Bexar County, and the city of San Antonio to your loving care. You are the rock on which this nation was founded. You alone are the true source of our church, rise to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Reclaim this land for your glory and dwell among your people. Send your Spirit to touch the hearts of our nation's leaders with an intense desire to fulfill their responsibilities that protects individuals, marriages, families, and long-term domestic prosperity. Open our public officials' minds and all people who live in America to the inestimable worth of human life and to the responsibilities that accompany human freedom. Remind your people that true happiness is rooted in seeking and doing your will. Through the intercession of your Holy Spirit, grant us the courage to reject the culture of death, indifference, communism and socialism, egalitarianism, environmentalism, and totalitarianism, and bless us with a desire, strength, and fortitude to be courageous conduits to help bring about a new culture of life, freedom, marriage, and family. We ask for your divine assistance to help us be and remain faithful to you, and for our collective petitions through your Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. So may God bless you as you drive from here. May you be kept safe. May you have a happy Advent season. And may God bless you with an early Christmas, a blessed Christmas, and a Merry Christmas. May God bless Texas. May God bless Bexar County. And may God bless the city of San Antonio. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Have a great night.